Channeling Plant Energy, a PQNK guide to managing vegetative growth for regenerative production. PQNK, cultivating sustainable tomorrow through regenerative agriculture. Executive Summary. Nature designs plants for abundant vegetative growth to sustain the entire ecosystem, feeding soil life, animals, and humans. Modern farming ignores this symbiotic design. This paper presents the PQNK framework based on 4 natural directives: stamping, grazing, pruning, and bruising, which mimic the role of animals in a pristine ecosystem. By applying these principles, farmers intelligently manage a plant's surplus energy, channeling it towards robust reproduction, yield. This system works in harmony with nature's wisdom, eliminating reliance on chemical forcing agents and building a resilient, self-sustaining farm organism. This guide provides a practical classification of crops and specific protocols for applying these principles, emphasizing observation and adaptation to your farm's unique conditions. 1. Introduction: The philosophy of abundance and management. In nature, a plant is a fountain of life for the entire food web. Its roots exude sugars to feed soil microbiology, its foliage supports insects and animals, its fruits and seeds ensure its propagation by nourishing countless species. Nature deliberately encourages plants to perform excess vegetative growth to fulfill this vital, system-wide role. Conventional production, by isolating plants from animals and applying chemical stress, works against this elegant design. PQNK recognizes that the path to sustainable abundance is not to suppress this vegetative vigor, but to manage it consciously. The absence of grazing and browsing animals has left plants without the natural signals that direct their energy. This paper details how the farmer, as a mindful steward, can reintroduce these signals through 4 key directives, turning from a mere extractor into a partner in nature's abundance. 2. The 4 directives, principles and physiology. 2.1 Stamping, treading. Definition and mechanism: controlled soil compression and mild root disturbance. This acts as a form of root pruning, creating mild stress that signals the plant to shift priority from leaf production to energy storage in reproductive organs like tubers and bulbs. Timing and intensity, applied during the critical initiation phase of the tuber or bulb. Must be light to moderate to avoid stem damage or harmful soil compaction. 2.2 Grazing. Definition and mechanism: the removal of above-ground biomass. Reducing the photosynthetic surface forces a strategic plant response. Before the reproductive shift, it can stimulate tillering; after, it can be fatal. Timing and intensity: the critical factor is developmental stage, not height. Grazing must occur before the plant begins forming straw and nodes, e.g., in cereals. A tiller committed to stem elongation will not regrow. Intensity should not exceed 50% biomass removal. 2.3 Pruning. Definition and mechanism: the deliberate removal of plant parts to shape and direct energy. It removes apical dominance, stimulates lateral growth, and opens the canopy. Timing and frequency: dormant pruning, for structure; summer pruning, for vigor control. Frequency can be once, twice, or more for vigorous plants. 2.4 Bruising. Definition and mechanism: superficial injury to stems or branches without breaking them. This controlled stress mimics natural damage, often triggering a survival response that results in flowering and fruiting. Timing and technique, applied to vegetatively vigorous plants reluctant to flower. Techniques include gentle twisting or bending of stems to injure internal fibers without snapping the branch. 3. The PQNK Plant Classification and Practical Protocol. Classification 1. Plants for stamping, treading. Goal: initiate and boost tuber/bulb formation. Species: potato, sweet potato, garlic, onion, peanut, ginger, turmeric. PQNK protocol, perform light stamping around the plant base at the onset of tuber/bulb initiation. Note: not suitable for legumes like peas or beans, as it damages their delicate, nitrogen-fixing root systems. Classification 2. Plants for grazing and pruning, cereals and grasses. Goal: stimulate tillering and prevent energy waste on non-productive stems. Species: wheat, rice, oats, barley. PQNK protocol, time grazing/mowing before node formation begins. Use animals or a mower to remove up to 50% biomass, encouraging new, productive tillers. Classification 3. Plants for pruning and bruising, fruits, vegetables, vines. Goal: control vigor, encourage new fruiting wood, and improve quality. Species: citrus, mango, peach, trees, okra, tomato, pepper, herbaceous, melon, cucumber, grape, vines. PQNK protocol. Fruit trees, dormant pruning for structure, summer pruning and branch bruising to control vigorous, non-fruiting growth. Okra, prune lower leaves and top the plant to encourage side shoot production. Vining melons, pinch growing tips after fruit sets to redirect energy into fruit swelling. Classification 4. The unique case of legumes, green peas. Goal: maximize pod production without damaging nitrogen-fixing roots. Species: green peas, especially indeterminate/vining varieties. PQNK protocol. Pruning, conditional, for indeterminate peas that are overly vegetative, pinch the growing tip to stimulate lateral growth. Do not prune determinate, bush, varieties. The primary directive: harvest clipping. The most critical practice is harvest method. Use 2 hands, one to steady the vine, the other to cleanly clip the pod stem. This clipping avoids the ripping damage that can stress the plant, signaling it to continue production. In a fully realized PQNK system, the plant's own sap and resilience may make this less critical, but it remains a best practice for energy channeling. 4. Implementation in a PQNK system. The PQNK farmer is the intelligent, observing proxy for the missing animal herd. Using tools and labor to replicate these natural functions, the farmer guides the system toward abundance. This practice is deeply integrated with other PQNK principles. Managed growth on permanent raised beds leads to healthier roots and efficient water use. The reduced vegetative waste feeds soil microbiology, completing the nutrient cycle. The example of the green pea is instructive. It shows that PQNK is a framework of principles, not rigid rules. The most effective directive can sometimes be a mindful harvest. The farmer's role is to be a student of the ecosystem, understanding each plant's nature and applying the right signal at the right time. 5. Cautions and common mistakes. Over-application: more is not better. Excessive stamping, grazing, or pruning causes shock and setback. Make grazing zones in the field, and animals should have access to one zone when plants are ready for grazing. Again. The grazing mistake: grazing cereals after node formation is a critical error that reduces yield. Ignoring plant type: pruning determinate peas or stamping legumes causes harm, not benefit. Transitional care: in a system transitioning to pristine health, a clean clip is wiser than a rip to prevent disease entry points in stressed plants. Conclusion: by understanding and applying the principles of stamping, grazing, pruning, and bruising, we cease to be combatants against nature and become its partners. We learn to guide the inherent, overflowing abundance of plants towards a harvest that sustains both the land and its people. This conscious partnership, rooted in observation and respect for natural law, is the essence of the regenerative and sustainable Pristine Organic Farming System, PQNK. Footnote: Any production process that inundates soil with water, disturbs soil through tillage, or leaves soil bare without organic mulch cover does not qualify as natural ecosystem science for production agriculture. PQNK, to be pronounced as picnic, which stands for Paedar Qudratti Nizam Kashatqari, and means, the Regenerative and Sustainable Pristine Organic Farming System. The natural ecosystem science was never applied in production agriculture.